In the first game that Ronald Acuna Jr. and Jurickson Profar get to play in the same outfield. Atlanta hits 3 home runs and takes down the Angels 8-3 to even up the series. Let's talk about it.
This is the Braves Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Atlanta Braves. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into the Braves Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby, author of the Braves Today newsletter over at bravetoday.com. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. That handsome fella's Jake Mastroianni, host of Locked On Braves. Catch him on social media at shortstopball. Telling him his hair looks good. I thought it's good. And Jake, I'm in a good mood today. The Atlanta Braves take down the Los Angeles Angels 8-3 in the way that we expect the Atlanta Braves to win a game. They hit 3 home runs, a 3-run shot, a grand slam, and then a solo shot in the next inning from Jurickson Profar. We're going to get to the pitching staff, second segment. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But before we get into the details here, how nice was it to see the Braves do the thing that we expected them to do from opening day?
Yeah, felt good. I mean, it felt like this offense used to. 3 home runs used to just be nothing. It used to be a typical night for this Braves team. So to see that, and as I've said on multiple places today, with the bad news that you got for today with Spencer Schwellenbach, this is what's going to have to happen. And look, whether the Schwellenbach news aside, the offense was going to have to step up at some point. And look, it's one game. We've seen them do stuff like this in just one game. But, this is what they're capable of. They should be capable of. They've done it before. So it's good to see. And obviously Profar being back, I know we'll get into that. But just, this is what this offense was built to do. And they just haven't done it enough. So see them, it reminds us what this team can be, what they're capable of.
Yeah, which means if they don't do it going forward, it's going to be even more frustrating because we saw the potential. It reminds me of that Boston series when you were in Fenway and you were just crushing baseballs all weekend, put up a ton of runs on them, and then you went after that and you were kind of quiet. I'm hoping we don't have that situation here. But when I kind of look at the offense, this is 5 innings of nothing. Yusei Kikuchi is... I'm not going to say cruising, but he's not really in that much trouble. He gives up 4 hits before that 6th inning and just can't really seem to get a lot done against Yusei Kikuchi, a lefty starter. We've seen them struggle with lefty starters a little bit this year. And Jurickson Profar being back was actually really big because Atlanta quickly is down with 2 outs in that 6th inning before Profar singles on an inside fastball. Ozzie Albies then gets I think it was a fastball outside. He shoots it the opposite way. Christian Moore, the second baseman for LA, is hurt on the play and comes out of the game. And then Sean Murphy hits the homer. It just felt like with Profar in the lineup, the at-bats were a little bit different. I don't want to give him full credit. Maybe there was a team meeting or whatever, but it just felt like it was a different offense from everybody tonight.
Yeah, I will push back on that a little bit because in the first inning you had Ronnie and Matt both get on with hits, and Profar comes up in his first at bat back and a guy that is supposed to put the ball in play, and these are the situations you expect him to put the ball in play, and he strikes out. So it is just a bit ironic, but again, you got to give a little bit of grace his first at bat.
I will say, Jake, he did swing the bat in 3 of those 4 pitches. Like, that is an improvement over some of the guys we've had strike out recently in Atlanta.
Yeah, it was just at that moment though, I was like, this is on brand for the 2025 Braves. The guy is first bat back at a big spot, a guy that's supposed to put the ball in play, and he strikes out in a run scoring situation there. They did have a couple of chances early in this one. You had the double by Matt Olson and then the walk by Ozuna later. So you had 2 on with 1 out and couldn't do anything. And that's just, kind of what we've seen. But I'll say this, getting to the 6th inning. What I've always asked for this offense is that you continually put on pressure, hoping at some point you are going to get that big hit. And there's been just too many games this year where they haven't applied that pressure enough throughout the game, where they only give themselves 2 or 3 chances in 9 innings. But in this one, you did have some chances, early on. You weren't able to come through, but you continued to push, and you finally did get that big hit with Sean Murphy, who just did it again. First pitch again, just like the grand slam he had on Saturday, coming in with that big home run. And then you add on to that, later in that same inning, and then later as well with Jerickson Profar's home run. So that is the type of offense that, I'm kind of looking for. I get it. You can't come through in every situation, but it should be an offense that just about every inning, they're getting a runner in scoring position, they're putting pressure on, and those big bats, you hope that, one or two times throughout the game, you're going to get that big hit. And they got 3 of them in this one.
And I'll kind of follow up on the putting pressure thing. Matt Olson particularly was seeing Yusei Kikuchi very well. He was putting some swings on the ball. His double in the 3rd inning, 108 miles an hour, was the hardest hit ball of the game until Jorge Soler's 9th inning.
That looked familiar.
Series recreation moonshot there. Olson also had a 106 mile an hour single, that one in the 1st inning. The homer actually wasn't hit that well. I mean, it was under 100 miles an hour. It was 92.2 miles an hour, 358 feet, expected batting average of 0.70, but it's a home run in Truist Park and a couple other ballparks. You love a short porch and left for that grand slam. It feels like it's also very on brand for the Braves to not have any grand slams for the first 78 games of the season, and then have 2 in a 4-game stretch between Murphy's on Saturday and Olson's today. But it's hard for me to think this is a sign that things have turned when you look at the fact they were shut out in 3 games prior to this, unless that's just the Profar effect.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to put on Profar. If Ronald couldn't turn this team around, I'm not that hopeful that Profar is necessarily going to turn the offense around. But at least for one night, like we had some bad news today, at least for right now, for this moment. Yeah, enjoy it, and let's be hopeful that this is the start of something. And with Profar, a lot of talk about, obviously, with the PED suspension, what does the power actually look like? Because even some of his success at the AAA level, he wasn't exactly putting up big exit velocity numbers, but 2 balls over 105 miles per hour tonight. So I think that's encouraging for Profar. Obviously, the home run. So again, the big question about him with the PED suspension was, was the power that we saw last year, was that because of the swing changes, or was it because of maybe the swing changes and something else? And so, first game back up, I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove that what he did last year was legitimate and there wasn't any performance enhancing going on there. So a good start for him. It is just 1 game, but again, we got to have something to be excited about. And Matt Olson, he deserves a short porch, home run like that with all the bad luck that he has. So he'll certainly take it.
One thing I do want to acknowledge before we move on from this, simply because we acknowledge this when other guys have done it too. Austin Riley thought he went back-to-back with Olson, and that ball was off the top of the wall, and he only got a single out of it. At the end of the day, it didn't necessarily hurt you or anything, but I don't know if it was something where he knew he hit it just about as hard as Olson did and thought it was also going to go out, if it was the trajectory or whatever it was. But that's a situation. In the past, we have criticized guys for that situation. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't think anybody's really talking about it because we were all on the high of the homer and the 3-run shot in the grand slam. But I still felt the need to just bring it up and mention, like, that's a thing that's been a problem in the past. I hope that was a one-time thing there for a guy who was looking for something good to happen in Austin Riley.
Yeah, just run it out. I mean, even if you think it's gone, I mean, even if you're just kind of casually jogging, you're probably going to get to second base there. So, where this offense is, you can't take anything for granted. Just hustle a little bit.
There you go. All right, in just a second, I want to talk about the pitching. Another short outing from Fuentes. Obviously, they overcome it. And then we see the return of Daisabel Hernandez. We'll talk about that next, right here on the Braves Postcast. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Maybe you have to fix a water spigot in the chop house because somebody hit it with a home run. Atlanta hit so many tonight, we're not really sure who that was. But the good news is Supply House's easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. They have a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, from 400 plus top brands, so you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. If you need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. If you're a trade pro looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So join the Trade Master program at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering your HVAC, plumbing, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, anybody, DIYers, professionals, or just the guys fixing Truist Park after that Homer barrage, you can use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's at supplyhouse.com. All right, Jake. So Didier Fuentes in this one, 3 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks to 6 strikeouts. And it really felt like progress here from his first couple starts, especially from the last one there. A little bit of trouble in the first inning. He walks Nolan Schaunwell, 5 pitches, kind of a non-competitive at-bat, 4 fastballs, just nowhere near the zone. He does strike out Mike Trout, which is always a nice little thing to put in your cap. I'm sure you grew up watching Mike Trout. But ends up a single, a wild pitch, push runners on second and third. Joe Adell brings them both in with a single. After that, he really kind of settled down, and it just became, at that point, a pitch count kind of issue. He did issue 3 walks, but just it became a pitch count issue. It became an efficiency issue. They ended up lifting him in the 4th in a somewhat dangerous situation, and Aaron Bummer's able to get the ground ball out to end it. I was actually kind of heartened by what we saw from Fuentes. It felt like growth. It felt like he was more competitive with the slider. He didn't just do nothing but fastballs in this game. Still broke 50%, but it wasn't like we saw in the minors where he'd be at 65, 70%, and he actually used the splitter today.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've said it a lot on here and on my show that nobody questions the stuff of this kid. I love him as much as anybody. But it's just a 20-year-old that's trying to learn on the fly at the big league level. To me, that's different than a Spencer Schwellenbach who was 24, 25 last year, kind of learning on the fly and just having great command of all of his pitches. That's not Fuentes. He's 20. He's still learning, what pitches to use. He doesn't have 6 pitches like Schwellenbach, so it's not really a fair comparison. But you're asking a lot of a 20-year-old who is still figuring out his pitch mix, who is still trying to get command of those pitches, to be throwing like this at the big league level. So I love the kid and I think he's going to be really, really good. I just think they're asking a lot of him, but you're right. I mean, he is growing and you're seeing that, he got a lot of whiffs on the Savant's registering it as a sweeper, but sweeper, slider, whatever you want to call it, at 84 miles an hour. Yeah. It's obviously good stuff. The fastball has some good shape to it. Again, he's going to be really good. It's just 92 pitches to get through 3 2/3 innings. That's killing your bullpen. Yeah. And how long can you just continue to send this kid out here, not knowing if he's going to get you through 4 5 innings? And I get it. The options are very limited right now, especially after the news of the day. I don't know if you're doing this kid any favors, continuing to throw him back out there like this.
Yeah, it was, you're at the point of, I'm kind of glad you had a little bit of extra capacity out of your bullpen, getting the off day, having a little bit of a longer start from Holmes yesterday. But I'm worried about, you had to use the pen extra when Bryce Elder's last start. There was rain in that situation. But if that happens again, that's 2 long outings for the Braves out of the pen, and you don't have an off day before this next series against Baltimore. So it was a little questionable when they made this rotation change in the first place. This is one of those situations where it could be a problem. But as the critical thinker points out in the chat here, he did strike out Mike Trout twice, which is impressive because, injuries aside, Trout's been one of the best players in baseball for a generation now. All right, so we see the return of Daysabel Hernandez, and he was a little more fastball heavy than he usually is. 18 pitches, 14 were the fastball, but doesn't look any worse for wear from before the injury to now, right? He had that rehab outing in Gwinnett. Do we feel a little bit better about the Braves bullpen now? Daysabel's back. Raisel Iglesias has been better. You did see Dylan Dodd stumble with that homer in the 9th. But outside of that, it feels like Rafael Montero's had a streak of good outings. Should we feel a little more confident about the bullpen now than we did maybe a month ago?
I mean, obviously you get Dayswell back, and he was one of your key guys early on until he just lost all command and then got injured. So, he has big time stuff. We expected it coming into this year for him to play a pivotal role. So you get that guy back, and I think you have to feel a little bit better about your bullpen. I still would tell you, even though Dylan Lee gave up those runs the other day, he's still probably the only one that I just truly feel comfortable with when he comes out of the pen. Maybe Pierce Johnson a little bit. But outside of that, there's just nobody else. And that's part of just being a fan. I don't feel like any fan really trusts their bullpen arms when they're coming out. So, yeah, I mean, look, bullpen's not my biggest concern for this team. I think they have some good arms out there, but not too many that I just think are overpowering or that I just feel completely confident in. But Dayswell has the ability to be that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the velocity's there. It's a matter of dialing it in, cutting back on the walks and things like that. So again, this is a 8-3 victory for the Braves. They have now tied the series with LA 1-1. Game 3 tomorrow, 7:15. Jose Soriano versus Bryce Elder. If we get this offense that we see the small already coming, Jake. If we get this offense we had tonight, I feel a little more comfortable about the ability of the Braves to win the series. Not knowing which bats you're going to get. Are you going to get game 1's bats or game 2's bats? How do you feel about the finale?
I want to be confident. We just haven't seen the consistency of. In fact, what we've seen consistently is that when the Braves put up big games like this offensively, it's usually a dud the next day. So that's kind of what history tells us. But I want to be optimistic. I mean,
same.
Soriano can be gotten to. He's somebody that can struggle with command at times. He has really good stuff. I mean, a 99-mile-per-hour sinker with a movement on it. It can be really nasty stuff. So, he can pitch good, but I don't know how much faith I have in Bryce Elder at the moment either. But the Braves are going to win this game again. It feels like one where your bats are going to have to get it done. And that's probably going to be the case for a lot going forward. Right now, your rotation is Strider, Holmes, Elder, Fuentes, and question mark. Yeah. And so it's like you are going to need the offense. So hopefully you get another performance like this. Hopefully you get a lot more performances like this because it's fun and they're going to win when they hit 3 home runs more often than not.
Well, Emmanuel in our chat here says Elder's going for 7 innings tomorrow. I see him in here every day. He'll be back tomorrow. We will hold you to that, Emmanuel. All right. For Jake Mastroianni, I'm Lindsay Crosby. This has been the Braves Postcast.